Good morning, everyone. Children, hope you are safe and healthy. Be hygiene. After a month, we are going to start with the chapter. Next chapter, that is quadrilaterals. Yes? Hope you are clear with the chapters we have covered in the previous classes. Do practice it. Whenever you are having any doubt, you can contact us. Today, let us start with the chapter quadrilaterals. What do you mean by quadrilateral? Quad means 4 and lateral means side. That means 4 side. A 4-sided figure, you call it as a quadrilateral. Before getting into the chapter, let us see some of the basic concepts you have learned in your earlier classes. These are all the topics we are going to cover in this class. First one is point. Second one, one-to-many. Third one, curve. Next one, simple curve. Next one is simple closed curve. Next one, polygons and its diagonals. Next one, convex and concave polygon. Next one, angles and property of both triangles, quadrilaterals and different polygons. Next is properties of quadrilateral and exercises we will see based on these 3 topics over here. Hope it's clear. So let me start the chapter now. So in your earlier classes, you have learned some of these topics over there. But as soon as we were born in our childhood days, we and you, myself and you, our parents would have asked, would have given the crayons to scribble something in a surface. So you scribble something in the paper or whatever material or whatever things you are having. That surface you call it as a plane surface. Suppose if you are going to consider in this classroom, what is the plane surface over here? This board is a plane surface. This table is a plane surface. So whatever you feel something, you can write it on that or do something. That surface you call it as a plane surface. So in your olden childhood days, you would have scribbled something like this, all these figures in this surface. So you call this surface as plane surface. At home you would have scribbled in a paper or on the walls also, or some might be having board at home, some might have used board at home. So on the board you would have scribbled, on the slates. In my childhood days I was having a slate. In slate I have scribbled. So in different surfaces I have scribbled the thing. Using pencil, pen or chalk, whatever thing you may be having. So that surface, this blackboard is called as a plane surface. In this plane surface, what is the first thing you would have kept, you remember? That is the point. It has got no dimensions, no length, no breadth and no height. So this is a point. This point you call it as one point. When you have 2 points and join together, you get a line segment. This point is denoted by a capital letter A and this second point we denoted by capital letter B. So this line segment you call it as AB. AB is a line segment over here. This is when 2 points are given. Consider, whenever you are given 3 points, there are 2 ways of representing it. One, I can represent these 3 points on a line. That is, the 3 points you are represented on a line. So I can join it over here like this. That is, and I can name it as A, B and C. Name these 3 points as A, B and C. So how many line segments you got it over here? One is AB. The second one is BC and the third one is CA. So 3 line segments you got over here when you are representing the points on a straight line. So when the points are in a straight line, you call them as collinear points. Got it? What are collinear points? When the points are represented on a straight line, you call those points as collinear points. So this is one way of representing 3 points. What is the second way of representing the 3 points? So I can represent these 3 points like this. And if I join these 3 points, what do I get? I get a triangle. So these 3 points A, B and C, you call these 3 points as non-collinear points. That is, these 3 points are not on the line. So when they are collinear, you get a straight line. And when they are in different points, scattered here and there, when 3 points are scattered here and there, you get a triangle. Next, what about 4 points? When you have a 4 points, again you have 3 ways of representing it. I can represent it like this in a straight line. So these are collinear points. When you join the collinear points, you are getting a line segment. Again, 3 can be collinear and 1 can be non-collinear. That means while I am joining this, what do I get? I get a triangle again. Third way. What is the third way of representing? As I said earlier, these 4 points can be scattered like this. When you join these 4 points, what do I get? I get a quadrilateral. So you have reached the topic quadrilateral. This is how I got the figure quadrilateral. So now you can say the definition of a quadrilateral. What is a quadrilateral? A quadrilateral is a 4-sided figure that is made up of 4 line segments. These 2 line segments are intersecting at a point over here. 2 line segments are intersecting a point over here. So everywhere only 2 line segments are intersecting at a point. Those points you call it as, if you are going to name these points as A, B, C and D, these are called as vertex. So you have how many vertex over here? 4 vertex. 4 points means here 4 vertex. So a 4-sided figure, you call it as a quadrilateral. As I said earlier, quad means 4 and lateral means side. So you have got a 4-sided figure. So let us move on to the concept. What do you mean by one, too many? So initially you had 1 point. Next you had 2 points. That is, you got a line segment. Third, you got 3 points. We are getting a triangle. So when I join 2 triangles, what do I get? I get a quadrilateral. So when I add 1 more triangle, what do I get? I get a pentagon. So the 5-sided figure, you call it as a pentagon. 5 side means pentagon. So now you add 3 triangles. Now again, if I am going to add 1 more triangle, this will be a hexagon. So this process, this will be a 6-sided figure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a 6-sided figure. You call it as hexagon. So what you are observing over here, in the first case, it was a point, single point we started. Next 2 points we started. When we started with 2 points, we got a line segment. 3 points we got it. When we joined 3 points, 3 non-collinear points, we got a triangle. When the triangle is going on increasing, when you increase 1 triangle, you got a quadrilateral. When you increase 2 triangles, you got a pentagon. When you increase 3 triangles, you got a 6-sided figure, that is hexagon. In this way, you will get a when the triangles are going on increased, you will get a n-sided polygon. N-sided polygon. Have you understood this concept? Next, when you finally, so when you reach, triangles are added like this, so you will get a, finally you will get a circle. In this circle there are n number of radius over here, because we are adding, going on adding triangles, 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 triangles. So what you are getting finally? A circle with a common center and n number of radius. So from one line segment you are reached to your circle. So this is nothing but the concept one to many. That is, our geometry is lying between this line segment and circle. Geometry is nothing but it lies between the line segment and the circle. Got it, all of you? Now, one more thing, one to many, it is also a reverse process. You see, when you are going to cut this, suppose you assume this circle is made up of a rope. If you are going to cut this rope, assume these 2 points as A and B. If you are going to cut this rope, after cutting this rope, what you are getting? Again the line segment. Yes. So what do you understand? This is the concept of one to many. You started with line segment. Again we are getting, after forming a circle, if the circle is cut, again we are entered in line segment only. So this concept you call it as one to many. All the geometry, whatever we are learning, lies between this line segment and this circle. Have you all understood, children? Yes. So let us move on to the next topic, curve. What do you mean by a curve? Whatever figure you make without lifting a pencil or pen or chalk or whatever it may be, that you draw on this plane surface, you call it as a curve. See, I am going to draw like this. Is this a curve? Yes, because I am starting over here, I am drawing, I am ending up to this. Now I lifted the pencil, so this much portion you call it as a curve. Is this a curve? Yes, this is also a curve. Is this a curve? Yes, this is also a curve. Is this a curve? Yes, this is line segment is also a curve, because it is made up of different points over here. Again we are not lifting the pencil, we are lifting the pencil only at this point. So this is also a curve. So whatever figure you are drawing on the plane surface without lifting the pencil, that much portion you call it as a curve. Understood, all of you? I will repeat it once again. Whatever figure you are drawing on the plane surface without lifting the pencil, that much portion of figure you call it as a curve. Now this curve can be simple curve and not a simple curve. So if I consider this figure, this is a simple curve. Now if I am going to consider this figure, 8 is also a curve. Can you find the difference between these two? Yes. This figure, it is not at all overlapping. If you are going to observe this curve, it's not overlapping. Whereas, if you are going to observe this curve, it is overlapping. So, when the curves are not overlapping, you call it as a simple curve. Here it is overlapping, so it is not a simple curve. Got it, all of you? You understood the difference between a curve, curve, simple curve and a not a simple curve? Curve is one which is drawn without lifting the pencil. Simple curve is one which is not overlapping, and this not a simple curve is one which is overlapping. Next we have covered point, one to many, curve, simple curve. So next we will take the topic simple closed curve. So what do you mean by simple closed curve? So I'll draw two figures over here. This is one part, the second one is C. This is simple closed curve because you are not, the starting point and the ending point are same over here. Suppose if you are starting over here and drawing a circle and ending over it, both the starting point and the ending point are coinciding at a single point. So that type of curves, you call it as a closed curve. They will be enclosing a region over here. Always the closed curves will be enclosing a region over here. That region you call it as area. So always area you get it in a closed curve. What about this figure? Here I am able to visualize both the starting points and the ending points separately. So whenever you are able to analyze or identify or visualize both the starting point and the ending point separately, you call this curve as open curve. This is closed curve and this is open curve. So you understood the difference between open curve and closed curve? Closed curve is one in which the starting point and the ending point coincide each other, whereas in open curve, both the starting points and the ending points are seen separately. There is no area, no portion is occupied in between. We have a wide area over here. We cannot say this particular area is occupied over here. So we cannot have any area over here. Area is infinite. Any area can come over here. So here if you are going to observe the closed curve, some portion of the area is occupied over here. So this is the difference between closed curve and open curve. Next we will move on to the topic polygons. What are polygons? If the figure is entirely made up of line segments, you call it as a polygon. So triangle is a polygon because it is entirely made up of line segments. Next, quadrilateral. Quadrilateral is also a polygon because it is entirely made up of line segments. So both are curves. But among these curves, you have specific type, you call this specific type of curve called polygon because this is entirely made up of line segments. So can I ask you the question? Suppose if I draw this figure. If I draw this figure, can you say whether this figure is a curve or not? Yes, this figure is not a curve because after drawing the circle, I am lifting the pencil to draw these eyes, ears and any other part. So whenever I lift the portion or lift the hand, then that figure is not called as a curve. So I cannot call this figure as a curve. So you should understand the difference. All these topics you should understand. Point, what is the concept of one to many, curve, simple closed curve and open curve. Both you are seen over here. Next, polygons. which is made up of line segments, entirely made up of lines, a closed figure. And polygon is also a closed figure. So which is the least polygon over here? Can anyone say? Triangle. Triangle is the smallest polygon over in the geometry, because it should be closed also. I don't have any other figure less than a triangle which is closed. So triangle is whatever may be the closed figure which is entirely made up of line segments, you call it as polygons. Next, we will move on to diagonals. What do you mean by diagonals? A line segment joining two non-consecutive vertices are called diagonals. Suppose if I have a quadrilateral. Is triangle having any diagonals? Is triangle having any diagonals? No. Because we are not able to join any two non-consecutive vertices. Suppose if you are going to take a quadrilateral A, B, C, D. I am going to start with the point A. So what is the next point after A which is not consecutive? Consecutive means next. Consecutive of A is B, consecutive of A is D. So I cannot say AB as diagonal and I cannot say AD as also diagonal. They are sides. So what is the next point after B which is not consecutive to A? So after B, C is the point which is not consecutive to A. So AC is a diagonal over here. So what is the definition of a diagonal? I can say a diagonal is a line segment joined from a vertex to other non-consecutive vertex. That line segment you call it as a diagonal. Suppose if I consider the point B, I cannot see BC as a diagonal because C is consecutive to B. What do you mean by consecutive? Neighbor, padosi, neighbor. It is immediate, next. It is immediate. That is the meaning of consecutive. I need a non-consecutive vertex. So for B, which is a non-consecutive vertex, D is a non-consecutive vertex. So I can join BD and say BD as a diagonal. So you are having how many diagonals over here? AC is one diagonal and BD is another diagonal. Similarly, different number of polygons will have n number of diagonals. Now, let us see what are convex. I will say you the formula for finding the number of diagonals afterwards. Now, let us see what is convex and concave polygon. So, let me draw two figures over here. A, B, C, D. Here also A, B, C, D. After drawing this is also a four-sided figure. This is also a four-sided figure. So a four-sided figure you call it as a quadrilateral. But if you are able to draw the diagonal over here, the diagonal is lying in the interior. What about here? So I can join AC over here. So AC is a diagonal over here. AC is a diagonal. So if you are going to observe over here, here the diagonal is lying interior, inside the figure. Diagonal is lying inside in the interior. So you call it as a convex polygon. So what type of polygon is this? Convex polygon. So when the diagonals lie inside the figure, you call it as inside the polygon, you call it as a convex polygon. What about this? When the diagonal lies outside the polygon, you call it as concave polygon. This is the only difference between convex and concave polygon. And also if you are going to observe this angle over here, one angle will be a reflex angle in concave polygon, whereas in case of convex polygon no angle is a reflex angle. So only two differences are there. First difference is in the convex polygon the diagonals are lying in the interior. In the concave polygon the diagonals are lying outside the figure. In the convex polygon no angle is a reflex angle, whereas in concave polygon at least one angle will be a reflex angle. So hope you understood what is the difference between convex polygon and concave polygon. Next, let us come to the topic angle sum property of a polygon. What do you mean by angle sum property? That is the interior angle of any sum of interior angles of any polygon, you call it as a angle sum properties of a polygon. So, first let us consider a triangle. Can you say what is the angle sum property of a triangle? The angle sum property of a triangle is 180 degree. This can be proved by the form of an activity. So now if you are going to take a triangle, what is this? Triangle. Name this triangle as A, B and C. That is the vertices, vertex you name it as A, B and C. What I am going to do is, this side AC I am going to take the midpoint. How do you take the midpoint? You fold these two corners, you will get the midpoint. Similarly side BA also I am going to take the midpoint. That is this is the midpoint of, so this point I have marked is the midpoint of BA, and this point I have marked is the midpoint of CA. After that what I am going to do is I am going to drop a perpendicular from this midpoint on both the parts. Here also midpoint is there. So from there I will be dropping a perpendicular. From here also I am going to dropping a perpendicular. Now after dropping the perpendicular what I am going to do is along the midpoint I am going to fold this vertex A. Got it? Along this perpendicular I am going to fold this vertex C. Along this perpendicular I am going to fold this vertex B. So if you are going to see all these three vertices are meeting at a point. So this is vertex A was meeting over here, and B was meeting over here, and C was meeting over here. So if you are going to observe in this figure, all these three angles A plus B plus C will be equal to 180 degree. Why? Because this is a straight line. What is a straight angle? Straight angle is 180 degree. Since a straight angle is 180 degree, we can prove that angle A plus angle B plus angle C is equal to 180 degree. So this is the angle sum property of a triangle. Hope you understood by this activity how can you prove the angle sum property of a triangle. You can do it by any other method, some other method also. So you would have learned this method in 7th standard. You would be drawing a triangle, you will be making three angles over here and cutting all these three angles and pasting it in a line. You have proved angle A plus B plus C is equal to 180 degree. But this is just this method is very easy method to show that angle A plus angle B plus angle C is equal to 180 degree. I will repeat this method. You can take any triangle. First find out the midpoint of the side, mark it as A, B and C. Find out the midpoint of the side AC and find out the midpoint of the side BA. After finding out the midpoint, you drop the perpendiculars from the midpoints. After dropping the perpendiculars, along the midpoints you fold the vertex A, along the perpendicular you fold the vertex C, along the perpendicular here also you fold the vertex B. Now if you are going to observe in this figure, all the three vertices come and meet at a point and they are on a line. So what is a straight line? Straight line, what is the angle in a straight line? Angle in a straight line is 180 degree. Therefore, we can say angle A plus angle B plus angle C is equal to 180 degree. You try at home today to make this and prove A plus B plus angle B plus angle C is equal to 180 degree. Now, let us come to the topic. What is the angle sum property of a quadrilateral? How is the quadrilateral formed? I said when you make two triangles, you get a quadrilateral. Yes. So, what is one angle sum property of one triangle? 180 degree. What is the angle sum property of another triangle? 180 degree. So, 180, what is 180 plus 180? This is equal to 360 degree. So, the angle sum property of a quadrilateral is 360 degree. You can also prove this. So, you can also find the angle sum property of different polygons. See this idea, listen to this idea. Suppose if this triangle is, how many line segments are there in a triangle? 3 line segment, number of line segments. Put the heading as number of line segments and angle, triangles. Yes. So, in a triangle, how many line segments are there? 3 line segments, that is A, B, C, that is AB, BC and CA. 3 line segments are there. If you are having 3 line segments, how many triangle you had? 1 triangle. If you are having 1 triangle, just now you proved the angle is 180 degree. Next, coming to the quadrilateral, 2 triangles. If you are having 2 triangles, how many line segments are there? 4. But how many triangles you are having? 2. So, that means I have to multiply 2 into 180, which is equal to 360 degree. So, now can you find out the difference between this number of line segments over here? In earlier you had what? 3 line segments. Here you are having 4 line segments. What is the difference of triangle over here? If you are having 4 line segments, you are having 2 triangles. The difference is 2. If you are having 3 line segments, you are having 1 triangle. Again, the difference is 2. Suppose if I make a pentagon. This is a pentagon. How many sides are there in a pentagon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 sides in a pentagon. So, 5 line segments are there in a pentagon. If there are 5 line segments in a pentagon, how many triangles are there? Can I count the number of triangles? 1, 2, 3. So, the angle sum will be 3 into 180, which is equal to 540 degree. So, can you find the difference of 5 and 3 now? The difference of 5 and 3 is 5 minus 3 is equal to 2. So, can I derive the formula now? What is the formula for finding the angle sum of any polygon? Yes. Since the difference, suppose if I have an n-sided polygon. Suppose if the number of line segments for any n-sided polygon, this is an n-sided polygon. That is, the triangle will be there. This goes on. It is an n-sided polygon. So, the number of line segments will be n. So, what will be the number of triangles over here? Number of triangles will be, difference is 2. We saw in the earlier polygons, that is in triangle, in quadrilateral, in pentagon. The difference was 2. So, the formula will be n minus 2 into 180 degree. So, this is how you got the formula. So, from now onwards, suppose if I say a hexagon, what is the angle sum property of a hexagon? N stands for the number of sides of a polygon. So, I can put the value over here, 6 minus 2, that is 4, 4 into 180 degree. Suppose if I say a octagon, so here suppose n is equal to 6. So, how will I get the answer? 6 minus 2, which is equal to 4 into 180 degree. This is nothing but 720 degree. So without drawing the figure, without getting confusion, now you can find the angle sum property of any polygon. Using the base as triangle, I showed you how you prove the angle sum property of a triangle, that is 180 degree. Using triangle, now I have able to derive the formula for any polygon, n-sided polygon. That is, the formula is n minus 2 into 180 degree, where n stands for the number of sides of a polygon. Suppose if you are asked to find the angle sum of a decagon, decagon means how many sides are there in a decagon? 10 sides. So you have to put the value of n as 10. So 10 minus 2 is 8, 8 into 180 degree. Is it easy or not? So first, always you should know how to prove mathematically. If you learn practically, each and every sum will be easy for you. Just like we proved the angle sum property of a triangle by a practical way. In this practical way. Similarly, if you are going to prove the formula practically, then it will be very easy for you to find out the answer for any sided polygon. Next, we will take out the exercise. Now you have learned what is the angle sum property of a quadrilateral. Yes, so all of you take out exercise 10A. All of you take out exercise 10A, page number 161. So in the first question it is given, find the value of the unknown angle in the following figure. What is the angles given over here? 75, 1. So let me draw a rough figure over here. What are all the angles given over here? 75, 125, 105. Now I am asked to find the fourth angle. How will I find the fourth angle? I know that by angle sum property, so you should write the following steps. By angle sum property, let me name it as A, B, C and D. Angle A plus angle B plus angle C plus angle D is equal to 360 degree. So can I replace the value of angle A? What is angle A? 125. Angle B is 75. Angle C is, I don't know, so let us take it as X. And what is angle D? 105. This is equal to 360 degree. Now I had to add all these three angles. So 125 plus 75 is 200 and 200 plus 105 is 305 plus X is equal to 360 degree. Therefore, the value of X will be equal to 360 minus 305. So 10 minus 5 is 5, 55 degree. 55 degree. So this is how you have to find the value of X. You are having many more sums in this exercise. That is the first question. A, B, C, D. All are of the same type. Do this. We will discuss in the next class what is the answer of these questions. All are of the same method only. You have to add all these four angles and find out the unknown angle. So we will discuss the remaining questions in the next class. Second question is also of the same type, we will discuss. Third one is ratio is given. So whenever ratio is given, how will you take? So whenever ratio is given, now the angles are given in the form of ratio. That is 2x. What is the ratio given? 2x, 4x, 6x and 8x. So whenever the ratio is given, first step you have to write, let each angle be x. Let each angles be 2x, 4x, 6x and 8x respectively. So next step will be writing by angle sum property. ASP you can write 2x plus 4x plus 6x plus 8x is equal to 360 degree. 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 plus 8 is 20x is equal to 360 degree, x is equal to 360 upon 20, which is equal to 18 degree. Now you should not leave the answer over as it is here now. You have to go and find the value of angle by putting the value of 18 in x. So if it is 2x, what is 2 into 18 is equal to 36 degree. So this angle will be equal to 36 degree. 4x, 4 into 18, 72 degree. And 6x, 18 into 6 is 6 8 is 40, 108 degree. And 8x, 144 degree. So the 4 angles you have got, all the 4 angles you are getting. Since the ratio is given, first you have to take the ratio in the form of x. After that you have to add all x's and equate it to 360 degree, because depending upon the figure, if it is a quadrilateral you will take 360. If it is a pentagon, you should not take 360, you should take 540. Why? Just now I told the formula n minus 2 into 180 degree. That is 5 minus 2, 3 into 180 is 540. So you have to see the figure carefully in the exam, what is given in the question. If it is a quadrilateral, you will take 360 degree. If it is a pentagon, you will take 540 degree. And if it is a hexagon, you will take 720 degree. This process goes on. First, you have to find the angle sum of that particular figure and then equate it to that number. Blindly, you should not write always 360, always 180. It should be written clearly. So, after finding, you also check whether after you add all the angles, whether you are getting 360 degree. Understood? Have you got understood all the questions? All the topics whatever you have discussed today? So let me recap. First, quadrilateral, I said what do you mean by quadrilateral? Quad means 4, lateral means side. And we discussed the basic concepts whatever we have learnt in our earlier classes. First we discussed about point which has got no dimensions, no length, no breadth and no height. Next is one to many concept. I said from line segment we reached circle. While opening the circle again we are getting the line segment. So between all the geometry lies between this line segment and a circle. Next we discussed about curve. What was curve? Any figure drawn without lifting the pencil, you call it as a curve. Next is simple curve. Simple curve is one which is not at all overlapping. Next one, simple closed curve. Simple closed curve is one, the figure which is curve which is closed. Polygons which is made up of entirely is made up of line segments, and diagonals. Diagonals, the line joining the non-consecutive vertices, you call it as a diagonal. Next is convex and concave polygon. Convex polygon I said where the diagonals lies interior, and in concave polygon we saw the diagonals are lying in the exterior. And also in convex polygon no angle is a reflex angle. Here in concave polygon at least one angle will be a reflex angle. Next, angle sum property of a polygon. Angle sum property of a triangle I showed how you got it as 180 degree. Using this triangle we proceeded to n-sided polygon, that is general formula we derived, that is n minus 2 into 180 degree. Next will be properties exercises we saw based on the angle sum properties of a quadrilateral. Next class we will see the properties of a quadrilateral and its exercises. Hope you understood the topic. Sit and do exercise 10.8 today. We will discuss the answers in the next class. Few questions I discussed now. Remaining questions you try at home. We will discuss in the next class. Thank you. You